Saudi Arabia says its energy strategy is a success. It pumped oil like crazy, which forced oil prices down, making it harder for Americans to compete. And indeed, the number of U.S. oil rigs plunged by 60%. Saudi Arabia managed to secure its customers. But why have oil prices gone up over the last couple of months if keeping them low is still Riyadh's priority? I want to ask Jim Rogers. He's author and financial commentator here in our Moscow studios. Thanks for coming in again, Jim. Oil cost more than $100 last summer. Just after January, it dropped to $45 per barrel. Now it seems to be growing again. Why is Saudi Arabia failing to keep prices at its all-time low?
Well, partly they cannot. Remember, Anissa, what happened was they tried to dump oil to put pressure on Iran. America was dealing with Iran and with Russia. They figured that would help. It did help. Iranians have come to the table, and they've made an agreement. But you have to remember that the frackers, a lot of the frackers went out of business, A. B, world reserves continue to decline. And so some people said, we're not going to pump oil anymore. So the supply is going down while the demand continues to go up.
That's right. A number of American shale gas firms has gone down. So the biggest producer is only growing, though. So what's the secret here? What are they trying to get done?
When you bring these wells on stream, you have to pump them. You have to do something with them. And so there were a lot that were already coming on stream. So that production. But later in the year, you're going to see production go down because the people who stopped won't be on stream, and so you'll see production going down.
Saudi Arabia is openly fueling an oil confrontation with the U.S. Maybe that's dropping now because of this pressure they were talking about, or backlash, no?
They were doing what the U.S. wanted, and they wanted to do something about the frack. There's no confrontation, not over oil anyway, not over oil. No, Saudi Arabia has gigantic reserves of oil and of cash. Don't worry about Saudi Arabia. But Saudi Arabia did get a little tired of spending it. You know, they were spending a lot of their reserves, something like 8% of their reserves were spent.
So Saudi Arabia would never have oil decision freedom, so to say, away from the U.S., or would they?
Remember, without the U.S. military, Saudi Arabia wouldn't survive very long, probably. So, no, they cannot be totally free of the U.S.
But isn't their policy killing American companies?
Well, but the American companies that they're killing are in Texas and North Dakota. Those are Republican states. The Democrats don't care about Republicans in Republican states. Texas is never going to vote Democratic. North Dakota's never. Mr. Obama's Democrat, you know, and the State Department's made up of Democrats. They don't care about Republicans.
So what happens when a Republican gets to the office? Oil goes up?
When the Republicans get back in the office, then maybe things will change. Yes, yes. Listen, I wouldn't be selling oil if I were you. Hang on to your oil, Anissa.
Okay, I'll do that. China. I want to talk about China because it surpassed the U.S. as the world's largest oil importer. We always talk about looking eastwards. Should we say it again?
You should. The future is in China. The 21st century is going to be the century of China. The 19th century was the century of the UK. The 20th century was the century of the US. The 21st century is the century of China, whether we like it or not. Figure that out.
But right now, their main suppliers are Iran and Iraq.
The Chinese and their producers.
Does the U.S. see a market there? Do the Saudis rather see a market there?
Of course, but oil is oil. It doesn't matter whether you sell it to one place or another place. It's all the same black stuff.
So money trumps politics when it comes to oil. That's what I've learned from this conversation.
Not only does money trump politics, money makes politics. If you can figure out to follow the money, you can figure out the politics.
Makes sense to me.
Follow the money first, then you can figure out the politics.
All right, Jim Rogers, author and financial commentator with us in The Now. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Anissa.